I want to talk about the Alien film from 1979, starring Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt, John Hurt, Ian Holmes, Veronica Cartwright, Harry Dean Stanton, and Yaphet Kotto, directed by Ridley Scott. This film is a legitimate landmark science fiction horror film. I mean, it spawned numerous sequels, comic books, video games, and a number of knockoffs in the film, video game, and comic book world. But as I was watching it, I was wondering if this movie was in fact a masterpiece or was it just a flawed classic. And a number of things that I saw as I was watching this got me to thinking about it being extremely flawed. I want to touch on the positives first. The atmosphere and the tension that this movie builds. It's set on this claustrophobic spaceship, the Nostromo. It's dark, it's dirty, it's cramped, and it feels like it continuously gets more and more cramped as the film progresses. And damn, it is effective. This ship and this setting, and even when they're out on the planet, it's hard to see. It's very, very dark, very foggy. You don't know exactly what's around the next corner or what's down this hole that John Hurt's character has to go down into. And man, the atmosphere that it builds, or that the tension that it builds rather, is fantastic. This movie is definitely a slow burn with its gradual buildup of the suspense and just the terror of the unknown. The use of lighting in this film is very, very hit and miss for me. There were parts towards the end that were very difficult to watch with the strobing lights and everything. It kind of almost gave me a headache a few times, but those were very few and far between. So that was nice. The sound design does do a great job of creating that sense of dread. I want to talk about the alien design. I absolutely love this creature. The design by H.R. Giger or Geiger. I don't know exactly the exact pronunciation on it, but I've heard it both ways. But his design of this xenomorph is truly terrifying and awesome at the same time, and I love it so much. I love the fact that we got a man in a suit, but he is shot in such a way that you don't fully see him completely, which is a good choice considering that it is just a man in a suit. And I think if you would get a full body shot of this creature in the suit, it just wouldn't work as well. I have seen behind the scenes video of this character supposed to be walking in a weird, with his feet down, but his arms back behind him, and he's kind of crawling. It's a weird move, and it doesn't really work. So I'm glad they didn't go with it, especially when you see it from the behind the scenes standpoint. It looks a little goofy, but this character is so cool. My God, I love the elongated head. I love the second mouth that comes out of the first mouth, and just the overall. He's very gooey, and I like that too. It works. The chest burster is a awesome concept. The scene itself is great until it gets to the point where the creature scurries across the table. and that kind of falls off a little bit for me. But the buildup of them just sitting at the table enjoying their meal, and then the burst happening, everybody getting freaked out, Veronica Cartwright getting sprayed with blood. This is fantastic. Again, it's a little laughable when the creature does scurry away, but I was able to overlook that. The design of the face hugger and the decision to make their blood, of all the creatures, to make all of their blood acid is brilliant. The face hugger himself is terrifying with the thing that goes down its throat and the legs wrapping around his head and the tail around its neck, and it's slowly choking the life out of Kane. But then to add just this extra layer of, oh, and you can't even cut this thing off because the acid will kill him. Will kill the host is fantastic. Let's talk about the characters in this film for a moment. I enjoy every single character in this movie with the exception of one. The character of Brett and Parker. These two guys they do the grunt work, and they are constantly bitching about not getting a full share. They want their money, and that is such a relatable characteristic in a working environment where you are doing almost more work than anybody, but you don't get paid nearly enough as everybody. Man, that is such a true thing. That is a real world thing. And I love that it's brought into this film in this way. And it makes these two guys very relatable. The character of Dallas, he is fantastic. Tom Skerritt does a great job. He is very much a company man, and he will do whatever he needs to do to make the company happy. Kane, played by John Hurt, he is a very curious, and I don't want to say makes dumb decisions. He's just very curious. He has a curious mind. And sometimes knowing what we know now about the outcome of his character, it comes off as stupid, but it's really not. He is just there to find out what is going on, and he's curious about things. The character of Ash, when you rewatch Alien, knowing what you know about this character, there are subtle hints about what he is up to. And if you've never watched this movie, just sit down, watch it, enjoy it for what it is, but then go back and rewatch it and just kind of keep an eye on this character. Man, it's so subtle, and it's fantastic. It's played extremely well by Ian Holm. Sigourney Weaver, who plays Ellen Ripley. What an iconic character. I absolutely love this character. She is a very strong female character who is written really well. Never ever once comes off as demeaning or weak. She tries to do the right thing all the time. This movie does a fantastic job of blending science fiction and horror. It is essentially a slasher movie in space, but it never feels like just the standard slasher movie. So I want to get into a little bit of the negatives. I've heard a lot of complaints about the pacing of this film. It is a slow build up, slow burn, and that might not appeal to everybody. But it pays off in the end. The landing of the the ship, how it takes everybody, almost everybody in the crew to actually do this. And it is a slow process. It's a dangerous process. And they play this 100% legit that this is not an easy task. And honestly, when I rewatched it, I thought, my God, just land the ship. But I'm glad they did the slow burn with this. It builds up the tension even more, builds up the real worldness of it. It builds up the fact that they are out there by themselves. If something happens, if something goes wrong, it is up to them to fix it. There is no rescue. And I really enjoy that about this movie. It does take a few minutes to actually get the alien's full reveal. I want to say almost an hour into the film before we actually see the alien in his full form. So if you're looking for a quick slasher film, horror movie film here, it's not going to be that way. It does take its time. I do love the fact that the company is the evil one here. The alien is just doing what the alien does. The company is the one that sent these people there. The company is the one that makes these people expendable. And I think that works really well. I wish we would have learned something about the exact nature of that derelict ship and its pilot. It's just kind of there. They don't ever learn anything about it when they go in and investigate it. So that kind of bothered me a little bit, but that's a little nitpicky, I think. So while the practical effects, they are outstanding, there are certain visuals that do show their age, like the space shots, the explosions, the space explosions that for some reason there's 3 of them. The most egregious, I think, it's not so much a bad special effect moment as it is a bad filmmaking choice, I think, is the scene where Ripley is trying to set Ash's head back up on the table, and it goes from the dummy head and then it cuts to Ian Holmes' head coming out of the table, and it's a very abrupt cut, and it's laughably bad. They should have cut to Ripley or Parker or somebody else and then cut back to Ian Holmes' head, his real head. It would have been less jarring, I think. The only other negative thing I have to say about this movie is towards the end, there are a lot of jump scares here, and I think jump scares are a little weak. But towards the end, some of the jump scares are the music just ramping up really loudly, and that kind of affected how I felt about this movie. Hello? Ridley Scott's Alien does have its flaws, but not enough to take me out of this film. Okay, I'm sorry. I have to discuss the character of Lambert. This character is the only one in this film that I just could not stand. Veronica Cartwright does a great job. She does. But it's the character herself. She is not given anything to do except scream and cry at all the improper moments. I don't feel like this character was very well fleshed out. And the way she is just kind of there. I don't even know what her job was on the ship. It's just this is the weakest character in this film. but it's still not enough to affect my feeling on this film. This movie is fantastic. If you enjoy sci-fi horror, this movie will not disappoint you. The positives heavily outweigh the negatives in this film. And like I said in the Romulus video, I am going back and I am rewatching every single Alien movie, with the exception of Alien versus Predator. I'm not touching either one of those two at this moment. But I'm going back and I am rewatching every single Alien film so I can, for myself, just for myself, definitely identify the worst film in the Alien franchise. I have a feeling I know which one it is, Alien Resurrection, but I want to go through them all, be 100% accurate, just for my own feeling. You know, if you want to, stick around, come back, follow me, subscribe. We're going to have some fun. I'm going to break down these Alien films. And then after that, I don't know. I haven't decided what film franchise I want to go through. I was thinking maybe Star Wars, maybe Lord of the Rings, although I really don't want to watch the Hobbit films. But if you guys have suggestions, put them in the comments below. Maybe one will spark. Maybe there's a franchise out there that nobody really talks about anymore that you all want to hear about. I don't know. Let's just play it by ear and have fun doing it. So thanks for watching. If you haven't, go check out Alien. It is definitely worth your time.